Another Ponzi scheme just crashed in Nigeria, and there's so many people who are on loans from loan apps. And I started thinking about it that why are people falling for Ponzi schemes, and why is there an increase in dependent loans? So I want us to talk about it. Hi guys, this is Topic School. So in like 72 hours, I've spoken to different people. Either someone is saying, I just lost money in a Ponzi scheme, or someone is saying, I'm maxed out, I don't have any money, I am stranded, and I'm owing loan apps. When you think about it, you wonder what exactly is going on in our country or in society at large. Is this a general problem? But I don't know. I've spoken to like almost 4 or 5 people who are in similar situations, and they said, let's talk about it. What exactly? I'm not going to say what exactly is going on. So first of all, let's examine, why do people take out loans? Is it bad to take out loans? Is the subject of, because it's a taboo subject. Most people don't like to talk about loans, taking loans, because the society we live in, there's some sort of stigma when somebody says, oh, I took out a loan. But in actual fact, please like this video, guys. Thank you. Before I go on, let me know in the comment section, have you ever taken a loan from a loan app? Because let me not speak over your head. Then if you've not taken a loan, if you've never taken loan from a loan app, have you fallen prey for a Ponzi scheme? This is a safe space, so there's really nothing to be ashamed about. So I'd like to know in the comment section. I have had my own shares with Ponzi schemes, so truth. Before Bitcoin, crypto became like really mainstream, because I feel like I'm an early adopter myself and my partner. We were always very early in certain things. So there was a particular crypto stuff. They looked very legit as at the time. I've forgotten their name because I don't even want to remember it. So what I'm saying, don't think, oh, maybe she has it all figured out. I don't know. I think we lost about $5,000. This was almost 15 years ago. So I know a lot about Ponzi schemes, the ones that look very legit, the ones that look, we've all been there, so no shame, it's a safe zone. So why do people get involved in this thing? The very first reason most times is financial hardship. If you've been in a position where it's you and the deep blue sea, like you don't have anybody you're going to call and say, please assist me, or you're not a trust fund baby. There are people that their parents, they have a stash somewhere that you can say, bad as it bad, there's somewhere to go back to. Most people don't have that. Sometimes you are your everything. There's no financially stable, trust fund or something that you say you want to rely. I wrote down things, so I just want to put that here. So when people don't have jobs, okay, or a means of livelihood, right, something that brings in steady money, when you are presented with an opportunity, especially when it ticks all the right boxes, the likelihood of falling for it is very high. No matter how educated you are, because it's not about education or any of that. When you are in survival mode, right, chances that you just want to get out of survival mode, so you're not thinking straight. So financial hardship is one of the reasons why most people fall for scams and pyramid schemes. Second one is low financial literacy. They say you either learn experience by your own experience or by other people's experience, but it is better to learn experience from other people's experiences. Sometimes you feel you are so smart, you are so very smart, until you realize that the people you are dealing with, they will collect your money with their own smartness. So you just feel like, most people don't understand how investments work, how real market systems work. So somebody comes and says, oh, if you do this, you get XYZ percentage. Meanwhile, the real money markets, the real people, you shouldn't even be playing in that space if you are still in the place of survival. Because when you're in the place of survival, you're not thinking straight to make good decisions, right? Because people who are playing in money markets, they're not doing it because that's the only place they have. I remember someone reached out to me and said, oh, I want to invest in money markets, I want to do this, I want to do that. I said, well, it's not bad, right? But if that is your only means of income, you shouldn't be doing that, okay? Because what that will mean is that you're under pressure. You need something that's a venture, a business, a job, something that is bringing in regular income. Okay, so when you have achieved a certain level of stability, then you can now venture into the traditional investment stuff. So when I always laugh when I hear, oh, I'm putting money here, I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong if you are stable, but if you're not stable, what you should be thinking of is, what can I do to in my environment that will keep generating, consistent money. And like I said, I read financial literacy, because financial literacy is very low and people are in survival. Survival is a very terrible place to be, right? You're not thinking straight, or sometimes that's all the information that you have. And that's another thing. If that's all the relationship, sorry, not relationship. If that's all the information that you have, you cannot make decisions outside the information that you have, right? If what you know is that this uncle is doing this and he made money from it, that's what you likely gravitate to, because that's the information that is available to you. Then people don't have access to traditional financial government systems, banks, because that's why they will have to, like, okay, let me do this Ponzi. If I do this one, I'll be able to raise the money. There are people who, I did a short and I said, if one crashes today, people are looking for the next one to go and do. I'm not judging anybody. I don't blame anybody. It's the reality, because some people understand how to game that Ponzi system. They understand it. All die na die. That's a Nigerian slang. All die na die. So if you die this way, they don't care. Like, so if you're among the first set of people to do it, you put your money. So some people they understand how that works and it's working for them. So, but we cannot also deny the reality of the fact that most people don't have access to credit facilities, or they don't have the right information to where to get credit facilities. So aside from YouTube, I'm actually a lawyer and a microfinance expert. And one thing I tell people is that your first point of call if you want to get credit should not be a commercial bank. If you are not, their business is not structured for you, right? You should look for microfinance, credit unions, cooperative societies. You can access at that level. But you see, and that brings me to, why do people take out loans? If you are enjoying this video, please like the video. One of my lights just went off, so this is one light. Why do people take loans? Because apart from people falling for scams, there are a lot of people who are in loan debt situations, especially from loan apps and those type of things. So loans are not bad. Contrary to what your mother or people have told you, taking out a credit facility is not bad. Okay, in fact, you have Western systems, countries that are built on credit facilities. They don't operate on cash. You have to use the credit system in the Western world, right? But here we deal mainly with cash. It's a cash system. So people take out loans to do different things. You can take out loan to stock up your business. If you want to buy property, you want to purchase a car, you can take out loans to do any of that. You can use it for your business inventory, expanding your business, starting a venture. There are even educational loans, emergency costs. I was telling someone that I had a brand reach out to me. They're an American brand, and they're like, oh, we have this loan facility for creators. You use your YouTube channel as a collateral. So I was like, oh, really? YouTube channel is an asset that can be used as a collateral. But me, I'm not interested. But they're like, oh, if you're ever interested. I was like, no, I'm not interested. Thank you very much. But I put it on one side of my head. Oh, this is very good. So people take out loans for different things, right? But you see, the issue that we are now having in our own system, our own culture, our own places, that people are taking out loans for personal needs. Now, there's nothing wrong with it if you're not in a place of survival. Like I said, it could be a way to augment. But it's just like loan apps in Nigeria is almost like what credit cards used to be in America, in Western world. I don't know if it's still like that, but I remember when I used to watch a lot of shows about people having credit card debts. So we don't do credit cards. We do loan apps. And you have so many people, so many people that are owing these loan apps. And a lot of people are falling into loan sharks. At some point it was so ridiculous that they would send obituary, because you can also blame them, because Nigerians can also be very terrible, very, very terrible. There was this story I saw on Twitter. I intend to do a different video, but let me just bring it up here. This girl took a loan of 1 million naira to buy a phone and some sort of gadget, and she said she deleted the app. So the people that are giving out loan is free money. They just woke up and decided that they want to dash the money to, because they don't have what they are doing with their life. So she said she deleted the app and abandoned the app for years and came back to see that she had 9 million naira. So if these loan apps now take drastic methods, it's not just loan app, financial institution, if they now take drastic methods to recover their money, it will now be that, they are overreacting. Personally, I used to work in a bank, and after I left the bank, I wanted to start some sort of, microfinance institute. I actually started, I had, what's that thing called? I had a mentor from PayPal, because I'm a Cherry Bless scholar. alumni. So they paired me with a mentor from PayPal. She's an executive director. I don't know if she still works there. So during the course of our interaction, one thing became very clear, and she kept asking me, "What are your funds for recovery?" I never thought about it. I just thought, "Oh, micro institution. I'm certified. I had distinction. This is my field. I worked here for many years." And it dawned on me that truly the cost of whatever profit you are going to make from the interest you are charging people is not commensurate with the cost of recovering those money and getting them back, because you have to spend more money. The cost of recovery most times is even more than how much you are giving. And that's why financial institutions, they don't just give you money and it looks like it's very hard, because they know that the cost it will take to recover their money most times is even more than whatever profits they are making, and they are not charitable organizations. So I just said all of that to say that sometimes I don't even blame some loan apps and loan sharks that go all the way to say, if you're owing us money, we would embarrass you, we would do this, we would do that. Because how do you make people to pay back? Somebody just collected loan and she forgot. Convenience. Not realizing that money is generated from somewhere. But it still speaks to a very fundamental part that our economy is not good. People are in a lot of debt. Please like this video. A lot of people are in a lot of debt to even eat, to even survive, so if somebody is not falling for loan apps, because survival, the key word is survival. So if somebody is not falling for loan apps, you're doing Ponzi. People are ashamed to talk about this, and that's why I said, no, let's bring this into the forefront. Either loan apps, Ponzi. And I don't know whether I'll say bad news. It's not going anywhere until our economy, has a significant turn. It's not going to change. So what can you do? First of all, assess your life, cut down on unnecessary expenses. If you've not fallen into any of this trap, if you have a job, hold your job very tightly. Even if your boss is from the deepest part of hellfire, hold that your job very well. Anything that you are doing that is producing 1 naira, 2 naira, take it serious. Don't let anybody talk you out of it. Take that thing very serious, because it's not easy out there. It's not easy out there. There's really no much money in circulation like that. If you have not gotten into them, cut down on your expenses. If you used to buy foreign use product, cut it down. If you used to buy plenty things in your house before, cut it down. The economy is really, really biting on everybody. So let everybody learn to, live within the confines of what the economy is currently until it gets better. And don't fall for any scheme or scam. Like I said, there are some people who know how to work those systems. So if you don't know anything, you don't understand. The one that you are seeing your chechere, hold on to it. Anyway, I would like to hear your stories in the comment section. I want to hear your stories. If people are in these situations, what can they do? And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.